Hello, welcome back to Coffee Coding. My name is Teddi Maull and I'm an instructor with the Galvanize Web Development Immersive Program. In the last episode, we began building a coffee shop app using HTML and CSS. And in this episode, we'll be using databases and servers to store information and retrieve that information so that we can deliver it to the browser. Let's get started. What do I mean by storing relevant information? Well, let's take a look at the app. So in this design, we've said that we need user information. So this is one bit of relevant information that we've asked for. We asked for the user's email and the user's password. Another piece of information that is relevant is the type of coffee that the user would like to order. So we ask them for that. What's associated with that piece of information is the price of the coffee. This is what I mean by a database. We've got a user, a customer, who's given us information. And we have our client, the coffee shop owner, who needs to be able to retrieve that information. So that's a problem that we have. And the solution to the problem is to create a database where we're storing this information. This database can store all kinds of details. In this case, some of the information that we're trying to store are user, the user's name, password, and email address. We're also trying to store the items that the user is ordering, so the coffee and the pastries and how much those things cost. The database will store that information for us, and our server code will interact with the database to retrieve that information and deliver it to the user. All right, now we've got all this information stored. How do we retrieve it? We've already talked about the browser side of things. We've already talked about how to request the information. And just now, we talked about where to store that information. What we need to know is, what is the connector? And that leads us to talking about the server. The server is the connecting piece between the database and the browser. The browser is going to request information or ask to store information, and the server will do that. The server can communicate with the database to make that happen. So let's take a look at some code. Right here, we are looking at our server. Now there's a lot of code here, but let's ignore most of it. Let's just take a look at this chunk of code right here. So when you visit the website, you go to myapp.com/orders. A request is sent to my server, and my server says, oh, you want information about orders. Here, let me execute this chunk of code. And when it gets to this chunk of code, it does a series of things. In this case, it's saving information. The information that you submitted to your order, it saved to the database. And once that information was saved, it sent you, the user, in your browser to a confirmation page. Okay, so I just unloaded a whole lot of information on you at once. But that's okay. There's just one thing I want you to know, and that is the server side is helping you to deal with the data, and it's doing everything that you as a developer want it to do to deliver the right information to your user. That's it. All right, since I've made a few changes here, I'm going to be a responsible developer and save my changes to Git. So that's it for Coffee Coding episode number 3. In the next episode, we'll be meeting with our client to talk about the progress of our app. If you'd like to learn more about the Galvanize Web Development Program, please click the link below.